Oh yeah, welcome to Unlearned Unlimited. Oh, part 2. We got Dr. Courtney Wright coming back to talk to us. At first we had her come in, she was in Los Angeles talking to us about debunking myths and all about stuff, and y'all loved her so much. So we said, hey, let's bring her back. So this sister flew from LA to where we at in the studio. So we're gonna talk about her some more, also about her book, Spiraling Control. We talk about all the great work she's doing. Oh, we love it. Let's go. Innovators, Unlearn Unlimited. Drop the beat.
Unlearned Unlimited. Unlearned Unlimited.
Yo, welcome to Unlearned Unlimited. My name is Dr. Sito, Narcisse, and I got my peoples with me.
Hi, y'all. I am back on the podcast. This is Tatiana Echevarria. I'm so excited to be back.
Oh, yo, I guess the whole Tatiana's in the house. I won't talk about what she was doing because, somebody got a party in life. But
I was just living my best life a little bit.
But she's back. So guess what? I'm super excited because we are in part 2 and straight from Los Angeles, LA, up in the studio, Tatiana. We got Dr. Courtney Wright in the house, y'all.
Welcome to the Ville, or as we say here, Duval.
Shout out to little Duval. Absolutely.
Yo, Dr. Courtney Wright, you people loved your first show. I mean, it's still hitting, right? Everybody's like, yo, that was dope. So we like, yo, let's ask her to come back. Right.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So, we know you led through a lot of different things, not only inspiring women across the country to do some great stuff. I got your doctorate from University of Southern California.
Close. UCSB Santa Barbara.
My bad,
but I do stay up the street from USC. So.
Right. I don't want to say the Santa Barbara's a little more bougie than USC, but I'm not going to do that because I got to go back to Cali soon to see some of my people. So
especially downtown.
Right. I want to get jumped down there, you know what I mean? But I love Cali. Cali love. So, but also, through motherhood and through all the great things you've done, and then writing the book. Listen, I did my homework. Me and T, we did our thing, right? We're going to talk a little bit about this Spiraling Control. Super excited about this. Have this conversation with you. So we really were thinking through hey, she's coming to the studio, have some conversations. We looked at what are some of our some comments that people made and some things that they really wanted to hear more about. So we're like, listen, let's go deeper for the part 2. In the first show, for those of you that may or may not know, we talked about debunking myths, which was really important. And also some pieces around the teacher and education space. Courtney's has done a lot of stuff like that as an entrepreneur and doing great things, building programs with kids and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff people don't know about you. So we want to keep getting our thousands of guests out there to know what that is. And so let's get right to it. Tatiana, anything you got?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So let's start off. I know we talked about your journey at first, and the last clip I remember that has really hit a lot of people is when you talked about, we all know you're a Florida girl.
I am. Shout out to South Florida.
Right.
Whoop,
so, and you talked about you had to navigate all this education to do your thing. And shout out to your mom. So I think we talked about your mom a little bit.
I love my mom. Hi, Rose.
But the thing I thought was really touching that most people were asking was yo, you shared about how you had to leave some people behind to kind of navigate through this experience, right? And we think one thing we talk about all the time is we know for people who've gotten to certain levels of success or had to navigate a lot of the stuff, they've had to somehow work in ways from the communities that they were in, right, to to pave their path to do things, right?
Right.
And you've had a lot of let's keep it real. You've had a lot of lifing around you through that process, and you have still overcome and become so successful in your space. So talk to us a little bit about that as we'll kick off with your journey.
I love how you so gracefully said lifing because that was.
Is that a good description?
Yeah. And I didn't realize that I had a lot of lifing until I got to college and I started to hang around and make friends with people who lived different lives. And I realized I went through a lot.
Yeah.
And then friends would tell me yeah, you went through a whole lot. Mm-hmm. So, my mom.
Would you go to college again?
Thank you for acknowledging.
I got to show them love. So
you did not. I had to call you out last time. So thank you for recovering, because I know you were in a lot of HBCU spaces.
Oh, listen, I took a lot of notes from the last show.
Yes, indeed. I got my undergrad from the best HBCU in the world, Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University.
Okay, we're little Tallahassee neighbors. I went to Florida State, so okay.
Welcome.
Okay.
It is so hot in Tallahassee.
Yes.
I'm actually going to Tallahassee after this, so here we are.
Oh, I'm going in a few months. I mean, we'll talk later about why. Yes.
And I'm gonna say something that may be a little violating about Tallahassee, but Florida State and FAMU, people may not know they're like across the street from each other.
Literally,
right?
Across the railroad tracks.
I was just about to say we call it across the tracks,
right,
which
so,
is
FSU be trying to claim their numbers based on the FAMU. They be like, we are minorities. I be like,
listen, we know it's a PWI. Okay.
And then they combined the engineering school.
Right.
So here we are.
Yes.
That's a thing. There's a thing, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because I still do business in Tallahassee. There's something big going on in the city when it comes to changing TCC to now a state university, and the numbers and the true detriment that is now currently playing on FAMU, and also just HBCUs around the world. There is a huge initiative to take down and dismantle HBCUs, and if we don't pay attention to it and we don't talk about it, it is going to happen. And HBCUs are important, and we can spend thousands of hours talking about that. But FAMU raised me. FAMU gave me opportunity. I was having a conversation with a friend last week, and I made this statement that. And it's funny, but it's not funny. I didn't know how to read graduating from high school. And FAMU taught me how to read.
Wow.
Florida, as we all know, and if we don't know, we're going to learn today. We have that No Child Left Behind policy. And as important as that is, it's detrimental to the child.
Well, I mean, several children are getting left behind just because it's called No Child Left Behind doesn't mean
that
we're actually not leaving children behind. But man, that's a whole other podcast in itself.
Exactly. So anyway, shout out to FAMU, and shout out to FAMU for teaching me how to read, and also just providing me with that opportunity to be the person that I am today. And I'm so blessed for that university. Growing up, back to your original question, I was raised by an amazing single mom, Rose, who, due to her own challenges of life, was essentially parenting herself along with 4 children. And, her being a single mom to us while living in poverty, we're on welfare and all the things that come along with that, doing the best that she can do, which she did do the best that she could do. It didn't mean that it didn't come with its own set of challenges. And I'm so blessed and thankful that I not only had the mother that I had in that moment, but I also had mentors throughout my journey, and mentors who provided me with segues to programs that provided opportunities. And had it not been for, with the combination of the mentors, a combination of the programs, I definitely wouldn't be here today. I went through a program called Women of Tomorrow that pretty much targeted at-risk girls in these Title I schools. And at the end of the program, unbeknownst to me, I qualified for a scholarship. And because I was able to put my name into the pot of the scholarship portal, I did. In my senior year, it was women who were a part of Women of Tomorrow had an opportunity to go to an interview segment to essentially interview for the different pot of scholarships, whether it was like a $500 scholarship, a $1,000 book scholarship, and it was 2 full ride scholarships. And I remember on my way, I'm from Broward County. And
shout out to the 954 crew.
Thank you, Crib.
I mean, Broward County love.
Absolutely.
I'm here. I just love you more. Continue, sir.
Thank you. I take it you're from the South.
I mean, yes. I went to Miramar High.
Hello. Okay, very nice. I stayed in Pompano. I went to Coconut Creek, so we're right up the street.
Okay.
The Florida married.
Not too hating, New Yorker.
Listen, New York, us with our Timberland boots. We ain't got no hate.
Timberland boots, right? With the socks and no shirt. Craziness. Shout out to the crib. But I went to a school, and Women of Tomorrow, they was very selective with the girls who could participate because funding was low.
Yeah.
long story less long, I was able to put my name in the pool for a scholarship. Went to the interview. It was downtown Miami. I would never forget this because my mom was at the height of just her anxiety and her depression. And, you know, here she is trying to navigate this big city with a car that's not running right and trying to figure out where to get me where I need to be. And, you know, frustrated. And then the day before my interview where her having to drop me off, my sister attempted suicide. So my mom's emotions were like on 10 that day. I say that because in the car, she's like, you know, where you got me going? I'm in this big city. I don't know where the F I'm going. You know, just she was in it.
Yeah.
And I was such a child. I did not know. I just felt the attack because of me not knowing what true adult struggles were. So I got out of the car with all of my kid emotions, just dealing with that life, right? And
you were like 16, 17 at the time?
Yeah, 16, 17. And I remember, I was actually 17. And I remember going into the building. It was my first time in the middle of downtown Miami in the daylight because I used to club when I was younger. I say that so prideful, but I really need to lower my shoulders.
What? There's nothing wrong with clubbing. Somebody got to live a little life.
Oh, I was living a lot of life back then. So, but I'm thankful because I went to FAM with my head on my shoulders because I knew, okay, I'm good. Back in the days, this club Nocturnal was like the spot.
Oh my God, I remember that one.
That.
I mean, not that I was ever there, but yes, I knew the name.
And people think people with education and all these stuff.
We turn up.
Don't be turning up and partying, right? That's the crazy part. I be telling folks there was a life before the life.
There was a life before the life, and I got pictures to prove it. And I'm like, hide those Facebook photos immediately. And thank God MySpace is gone because, but God is so good. I'm so past that, I think, sometimes. I'm only 34. But I get out the car in this big building, and I don't know where I'm going, and I have all of these emotions on my shoulder, and I find out where I need to go. And I go to the bathroom and I look at myself in the mirror and I'm bawling. I'm bawling. And I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, Court, you need to get it together. Because I was already practicing these questions. Like my mentor primed me up and said, listen, you're about to go into this group interview. It's going to be 50 other girls that look just like you applying for this really, really big scholarship or multiple scholarships. You know, you want to at least get one. I was okay with just getting a $500 scholarship. And I didn't know I was going to college at the time. I just wanted to win. Yeah. Right? I didn't know anything about college. I just wanted to win. My mind wasn't set on going to college. I just wanted to be the first. So I go into the interview. She calls me in and she's like, I already know what questions she's going to ask. Tell me about yourself. And I just start crying. And I break down. I'm bawling. And I tell her everything. I tell her, you know, my sister attempted suicide yesterday. Sometimes I feel like my mom doesn't love me. And I just kind of go off on a tangent of just releasing. And I think that was the first time in my life that I had the ability to release. And I felt so comfortable with releasing because she was a complete stranger. And I felt like, well, at the end of the day, I don't care if I don't get the scholarship. I know that I went through, Miss Perry was the name of one of my mentors. I know that I went through all of these questions with Miss Perry, but Miss Perry's not here. And if I don't get this, at least I'm talking to this lady about how I feel. And then I went home. And a month later, we have to all go to this banquet. The girls that are in Women of Tomorrow from Dade County and Broward County, these schools. So we get dressed up and, you know, beautiful. I remember I wore the dress I was going to wear to prom. And we go and we're there and they're calling these ladies out, you know, $50 scholarship here, $500 scholarship there. So they start to get to like the $1,000 scholarship, the $2,500 scholarship, and I'm not getting anything.
You're
so I had already
to hear your name
or
accepting
or
been passed up.
That's it.
Okay.
I wasn't going to get it. So I was in that mindset. So the first person who got called up, it was 2 full ride scholarships. The first young lady who got called up, this lady gave this beautiful speech about this young lady's trials and tribulations, etc. Her name gets called. She comes up to the stage. This is the last scholarship left for a full ride. Somebody gave, a family gave 4 years worth of funding in a Florida prepaid scholarship to Women of Tomorrow. So it was two versions of that.
Wow.
So this last Florida prepaid scholarship, the lady who interviewed me came to the stage, but she had already gone to the stage a few other times, giving away these smaller scholarships. So in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've seen her before. Can't be me. And then she started to tell this story about this young lady who's dealing with the trials and tribulations of life. And she starts to tell a story about me.
Oh, wow.
And I start crying because I know she's talking about me. No one else knows.
You weren't like offended in it like that?
No. This was the last scholarship of the evening. And she started to tell the story about this young lady. And then she calls my name.
Oh, wow.
And then I walked to the stage and I received the full ride scholarship. And before then, like I mentioned before, I never thought about truly going to college. Like I played basketball all 4 years in high school. And my basketball coach, Coach Max, was intense. And he would always talk about, Court, you're going to college. Court, you're going to college. But during that time, and this is around February, I didn't have any true like prospects or, and we didn't talk about college at home. So, I would hear college, but I wasn't really resonating with, that's the next thing that I'm doing. I started working at 15. So in my mind, my next thing was, I'm just going to continue to work and get a job.
Okay.
So once I got the 4 years, I was like, holy crap, I got to actually go to college. And then my sister at the time was in Tallahassee. She was at TCC at the time. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll apply to FAM. And applied to FAM and they accepted me.
Wow.
Did the whole ACT, SAT thing, took all the tests and had it not been for programs like that,
you wouldn't be here today?
I wouldn't be here today, period. But there were a plethora of programs like Women of Tomorrow and other programs that provided me with opportunity for just exposure that have allowed me to see what possibility could look like. And then from there, I'm just, I just take off because I'm always going to win for sure. That's just that's the South Florida in me.
There's a term we call impossible choice moments.
Okay.
The reason we call it impossible choice moments is like where you are backed into a corner, right? And you feel a particular way and you got to make a choice, right? And we even call them impossible choice moments because it's like, you're like saying to yourself, dang, I can't believe like I got to make this choice.
Right.
And usually it's a choice that you got to make in your worst stage because it's either going to turn you into a space where you can succeed or rise up, or what's the term they say, strap your bootstraps up, whatever the bullcrap they say. Or it's a choice if you quit, because that's how you lose on that choice, it could be a downward spiral. Right?
Yeah.
And so to me, when I hear that story, like you made an impossible choice moment and you were like, yo, it is what it is. Because you could have easily said to yourself, I'm not going to do this. My circumstances are going to determine where I'm going to be. You didn't do that at all. Look where you at now. Right?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And I only bring that up because like, one of the things you talked about, I remember in the last show, like you try to think about like all these myths. Some of these things are stuff that plays in your head around what you can achieve, not achieve. I think we talked about a couple other podcasts, Tatiana, like a lot of stuff is like your own mind. You got to be mentally tough, right? To really tackle things and tell yourself you could do it. Because once you start succeeding one or two times at it, it just becomes like, yo, I could actually do this.
Well, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about how your experience with your mom on that day, because you didn't know any better. You didn't know. You saw her struggle, of course, but like, I guess, I don't know if you were able to name exactly what she was experiencing at that time. What kind of turned that around for you? At what point were you able to say, okay, now I understand my mom was battling anxiety or battling depression or, wow, like she has a history of mental health. At what point were you able to kind of say, now I understand that it wasn't maybe per se that she didn't love me. Right. It was that she was struggling.
When I started to deal with it, when I started to deal with that thing called anxiety, when I started to deal with that thing called depression, 2020 was a lot by way of COVID.
Right.
But 2020 for me was 2020 for me was leaving a country that I had known as home. You know, China was home for me for 3 years. And we evacuated because, and I mentioned it before with you, we evacuated because of COVID. And which is a completely different experience because we left everything in that country. And it was off of the grace of my discernment that we left that country. When we left, I had a gut feeling that told me, Court, you need to leave. Wow. We bought a plane ticket that evening. 2 days later, no one can enter that country for 8 months, unbeknownst to us. You know, and during that time prior to me leaving, I applied for my PhD, but I applied for it off a whim, like, okay, I need to apply for it because I got a fellowship programs from this program called the UC HBCU Initiative that provided students who went to HBCUs with an opportunity to go to UCs to pursue grad school, to get their PhD for free, and they paid them. So my PhD, which I just completed in May.
Shout out to you.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And I was a commencement speaker. So I just want to
can we just pause for a moment?
Let me get that autograph. Okay. Listen, just go ahead and start autograph my book right now.
I know.
Wait a minute.
I'm just saying, before we blow up,
take the pictures too.
But I knew her before.
Right, because, if you don't take the pictures, people like, nah, you don't know.
No. Y'all fam. You know what? Y'all good because we good. Yeah, we good. So, you good. But, so that the UC HBCU initiative, it provided me with an opportunity to pursue my PhD to get a full ride.
Okay. Yeah.
But I had 5 years to apply for the fellowship.
Okay.
If I didn't apply for the fellowship within those 5 years, they were going to give the money to somebody else.
Okay.
So coming into that 4th year of application was my 3rd year in China, which was the last year to apply to use it, to start it.
Yeah.
So I applied for it thinking like, okay, I'm just going to apply because it's only right, Courtney. You got this amazing opportunity. Why would you not just see? COVID happened. We went back to Miami. I went to Miami with my boyfriend of 5 years, and he broke up with me 2 days before my birthday.
Okay, don't tell us how you really feel. Don't tell us how.
We'll talk about him. We'll talk about him.
Another podcast show.
You know, and I'm so indeed. And I was about to name drop, but I'm just playing. Love him to death. Still love him to death for that amazing experience, and then also just time. You know, all things happen for a reason, and I was so devastated during that moment. But I understand now within my adult space why that was important. It took me a little while to learn it, but that is what really, I got accepted for my PhD, and that was the first time that I was ever a single mother, in a different state that felt like a different country. My first time ever going through culture shock was in Santa Barbara. I didn't even go through culture shock in China.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow.
So by the time I got to Santa Barbara, I was one of, the Black population in Santa Barbara and during that time was less than 5%. At UCSB, it was less than 2%.
Wow.
So I would go outside during COVID and see no one, but then I would really see no one.
Because no one looked like you.
Because no one looked like me. So, in a space where I didn't realize how important community was, and we talked a little bit about that,
that's right? That's right.
I didn't realize how big community was until I lost community. And
did that manifest itself in
bingo,
in anxiety and depression? Okay.
And that felt like driving on the highway and randomly, literally losing my breath and feeling like I can't breathe. And I got my baby in the back.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it's something wrong with me. How was the
baby at the time?
Yara was, I call her a baby. She's always going to be my baby. Yara was 6.
Wow.
So, she's in the back seat. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Calm down, calm down, calm down, calm down. You're fine. You're fine. And that progressed. And then I realized, because my friend had told me, I took a road trip from Miami to Santa Barbara when I originally moved. So we were exploring the Sequoias, and I was going through moments of anxiety, and I didn't realize it. And my best friend at the time, Alicia, she goes, you need to see a therapist. And I'm like,
What you talking about?
Therapist. Nothing wrong. It's nothing wrong with me. Of course, we within our community look at therapy and we just think like we are just the worst people on the world when we got to go to therapy. Boy, oh boy, my therapist, Mario, every opportunity I get to say his name, I'm saying it. Mario, that was one of the leading therapists, Black leading therapist at UCSB, saved my life. Because not only did he help me to name those things, anxiety, depression, having intrusive thoughts like suicide that people don't want to talk about, right? What people need to hear, and I spoke about it a little bit, was the idea of suicide. And I don't want to spend too much time on it because I don't even want to fixate on these things, but it is important to know that those are called intrusive thoughts. It is whether or not you hang on to them that they become normalized, that it becomes a big problem. Your ability not to hang on to them is okay. But your thoughts are like cars on the highway. You have the ability to choose to jump in whatever car you desire to jump in, or whatever car you are in, you have the ability to get out. So knowing that, sometimes you deal with bad thoughts and your ability to get out and what strategies you need to use to get out of those cars is truly what helped to save me. And so when it came to me understanding and truly being able to truly empathize with my mother, it was because of my downfall.
Wow.
Of me being a true human going through struggle that I was able to empathize and first apologize for all of the negative thoughts that I had about my mom. And that is where I truly learned, it's not what's wrong with you, it's what happened to you. My mom had a very rough upbringing, period, before kids. And then she had kids. And then had a rough upbringing with kids. And I'm so blessed that I have the ability to think in the capacity of which I do. So I'm able to speak on this level, even when it comes to my mom's struggle, because so many people live that reality.
Right. Right.
And there are not a lot of people who make it out. My mom had 4 kids and I'm one of the only ones who made it out. A few of my other siblings are still having to suffer the consequences from the life that they had to live, and also the choices that they made as well. And sadly, everyone can't go. So,
what did you learn about? I know we talked about self-sabotage, right? You kind of, you touched on that a little bit last time we spoke. Like, what did you learn about yourself in terms of how did you think through not self-sabotaging yourself in these different mindsets or these different spaces that you're in, whether you had anxiety or whatever, because there's something that, I don't know if it's intrinsic or some type of engagement you had, or maybe the conversation with your therapist, whoever it was, to help you kind of think through these ways to navigate. And the reason I bring this up is because when I think about your book, right, you talked about all this journey, you wrote I keep thinking about that chapter you wrote, I think you called it Metamorphosis. I can't remember, right? So so just things like that, right? I mean, I always find it easy for people to identify when they hear somebody's journey. But the big part why, we always talk about this whole Unlearning Unlimited thing is we're but what's the next space to help me know how to get to another space, either learn how to figure out how to navigate it, overcome it, whatever. Because my push every time I see somebody give me their story, which I'm always fascinated about, is I'm trying to what did they do? How did they do it, right? What was their process? Because that's why I always feel people need some type of I don't want to call it advice, but some type of
well, I mean, maybe it's
step.
Yeah, and I think maybe it's part of. I think we all have to unlearn something to get to that next step of life. What that unlearning is looks different for all of us, depending on what our journeys are.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I love that you brought up Metamorphosis, because my daughter is one of the leading reasons that I'm able to be within this space mentally and also physically. The moment that I became a mother, it was an automatic flip of a switch. And I knew that, purpose is one thing, but it was the responsibility that I've always been really good with responsibility, playing sports. I think sports got me there. Mm-hmm. So you know, if you mess up, you about to run these suicides. Mm-hmm. So like that drill mentality of do the right thing was taught for me through sports. Mm-hmm. And also just seeing if I do this, then I'll be able to reap the benefits. Mm-hmm. So knowing how to sacrifice just a little. But once I became a mother, it was the sacrifice was a lot bigger. And Metamorphosis is such a beautiful chapter because it talks about my daughter. My daughter's name is Yara, and Yara means baby butterfly. It also means rebirthing of a new soul. So when we talk about butterflies, we talk about the metamorphosis that a butterfly has to go through.
The actual process.
Yeah. So my metamorphosis within motherhood and my metamorphosis within my career and also just within understanding who I want to define myself to be is a process that I'm still I'm always on. I don't think we're always on. Like, okay, right now, who do I want to show up and be?
And in 5 years, hopefully that person is not the same person that you are right now. Right?
And I'm a true believer in if you're doing the work, that person won't be that.
That part.
You know, it takes, you don't see who that person is going to be yet. Well, actually, I'm going to contradict myself. I think you have the ability to see who you want that person to be. I think the law of attraction and manifestation, I know it is real. Mm-hmm. So you can choose who you want that person to be. In this very moment, right. You got to do the work.
Work at it to get to that version of yourself. Yes.
It's not overnight. Nothing is overnight. Right. And social media just makes me so sad when I hear about these fake
overnight
success stories because I'm like, that's so unobtainable. I just spent 5 years getting my PhD.
Yeah.
What happened?
No, I can lie. Social media, they be doing that, they show like a flip of a switch.
And have you thinking that you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's like, no, Court, get off of, put your phone down and go cook. Go practice being a wife.
And that's not overnight either.
Right, Lord, cooking all the things. I'm still I still want to go outside.
But the brothers appreciate it though when y'all do that. You know what I'm saying? The brothers appreciate it.
Never mind. That's also a podcast.
That's another podcast. Looks like we're bringing you back for a plant.
But you talked about something which me and Tatiana found very interesting. Like, so you've defined your own terms for success, right? You tell me if I'm wrong, but like one of the things we were talking about, we saw the first video and having engagement conversations. Like one thing people is like, they're listening to you talking and, it's always interesting because people need to see themselves or they got to like live and engage and connect with you in whatever that experience is. But they're like, that sister, she defined her own success. She got it together. Like now people are learning more like, wait a minute, it's a process, right?
And I don't have it together. I do not. That is a lie.
But when you look at what society pinpoints as success, right, from a visual standpoint, right? Because people really get caught up on this perception and visual.
Right.
Like, you're pretty clear about who you are as an individual. You're clear that, and I would define like when I hear you talk about your daughter, like I got to live as an example for her, do my thing, you've accomplished things that most people have not accomplished. Like getting a PhD ain't that easy. Let's just keep it real, right?
And let's also name being a woman of color.
Yeah.
Getting your PhD, those stats are even less.
1%,
yeah,
right?
You traveled the world. Like you talking about going to China. Some people talking about they ain't get out their damn block off their neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like think about where we grew up, right? Like, and then you've traveled, you've done things. Like for some folks, they would think that is something that's extraordinary. Now, social media helps that a little easier because you can now Google cities' names and all that.
Right.
But for people to actually go and have lived experience to be able to make decisions to do things, I would argue like that not only helps with your self-confidence, but it also helps you with maybe some of these other things, right? How to help you feel better around yourself, around anxiety. How do you feel, when you walk into a space, how you connect with people, how you... so like I always think there's like these spoken and unspoken things. So like, I guess my question to you is around these terms. How do you define terms of success in your mind as you have like navigated your journey?
I'm constantly in a state of gratitude because I understand what life could have been. And I understand what life could have been because I'm still so close to that reality. I'm not far removed from it. I'm a first generation period from not only my immediate, but also, my extended family as well. So I'm the first one to finish college and get a master's and now get a doctorate from both sides, my mom's side and my dad's side, my cousins and all. So I'm always in a constant state of gratitude. But you know what? I'll say this. I am always having to, in addition to that, be kind to myself. Because when you tell me that I'm successful, sometimes I don't wake up and feel like that.
Yeah. Yes.
And, I'm such a goal setter that as soon as I get told this all the time, and I know my mentors and my friends who are listening are going to remind me, I hear you. But I'm always told that, Court, stop and celebrate. I hear it. And I receive it. My stop and celebrate is not going to look like a week sabbatical, because that's not how my brain or drive works. Sometimes my stop and celebrate is I'm about to go to the Ritz and have a few shots and a few drinks and go home and then get back to it the next day. So, and that's my version of celebration. I'm always having to constantly remind myself, one, Courtney, you are successful.
Yeah.
You've done a lot.
Yes.
But you're not done. So I live so far on the hill of, but I'm not done, that very few times do I remember, or am I coexisting within the space of I've done a lot? Because there's still so much to do. So I appreciate moments like this that remind me of the anomalies of success that I've accomplished. In that same breath, I'm also understanding that Oprah Winfrey became a billionaire within a lifetime. That Tyler Perry has become a billionaire within a lifetime. And I bring those two examples up, not only because they're people of color, but also because of how deep in poverty they were.
Right, I was going to say
how humble their beginnings were.
I mean, even think about, I think Viola Davis talks a lot about
Love her memoir.
Her backstory, or even when you hear about like Michelle Obama's like backstory too. I mean, growing up in a 1-bedroom home and I don't know what her financial situation is, but overall, truly successful woman.
Absolutely.
So I think you were talking about that, and so much of what you were sharing resonated with me, because I see that in my sister as well, about, I always tell her, like, girl, celebrate yourself, like give yourself the flowers for the things that you've done. She's the first woman, and the only woman in our family that has a doctorate degree. That, to me, she's my hero, has done so many amazing things. But to her, it's always like, yes, I've done this, but I still have more to do.
Right.
Like I am not done yet. I can check that box, but now there's like 10 more boxes I got to check. So
shout out to your sister.
I do. I love that girl so much.
I love that you keep telling her she needs to celebrate. Like, let's go to Hawaii. Like, what's going on? Like,
I did that. I did that for y'all.
You know what I'm saying? Let's go to Paris. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I respect that.
We're going to have to pray about that.
There's some internal shade going on, y'all. So how was Hawaii?
It was beautiful. It was everything. I mean, prayers to the island right now after what was a very scary earthquake and all the things that just happened.
Yeah, I just heard that.
Yeah. I did want to tap into, as we're talking about success and your professional journey, and I want to know how has your personal, like, mental health journey impacted both either positively or negatively, like how you show up in professional spaces. And I'm honestly more curious about how it has also helped other people that you've worked around, either navigate some of their struggles, or seek help, or any of those things. Like how have you both navigated that, within yourself, and then also in supporting other people that you may work with, that you see maybe some of yourself in or whatnot?
I'm just now entering this space of Courtney's my mentor.
Oh.
Which is like, oh my gosh, am I old?
Yes. No. We're only as old as we feel.
Yeah, I'm 34 for the record, so I feel very young. But I remember when someone told me that, Courtney, you're my mentor. I'm just like, huh? Don't freak out. Okay. Be your best self. Mm-hmm. But I say that, and I also say, that's such a good question. I also say that I'm also just now starting to use a lot more language around this mental health space. Mm-hmm. For so long, I've been so, knee deep in writing the book, knee deep in my own healing journey, knee deep in, because actually the book came from a journal. So I went through the journaling process of it. Then I moved to LA, and then I went through the editing process, which was another form of healing, because I had to revisit the journals and then write about different segments of my life that were associated to that journal topic. So if I talked about metamorphosis, I just wrote about the power and the journey of transformation. I didn't write about, originally when I wrote my journal, I did not write about the birth of my child. So I had to go through the journey of meeting her father and going through a natural birth and what birthing a child actually felt like, and parenthood, or dealing with boundaries. I just wrote about in that moment the importance of boundaries, and I wrote about it in a third person perspective as a storyteller. It wasn't until I started to work with my editor, Dale, whose original name is Michael. He's absolutely amazing, highly recommended, where he actually brought me through now let's find alignment, in particular within the space in which you were dealing with isolation. So that was its own healing process too.
Yeah.
And
you had to walk the walk of what you were writing in your book.
Bingo.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it was just a journal, and I did not know that my journal was going to be a book. I was originally just journaling because journaling is a healing practice that you should use when you're dealing with the struggles of life, period. You should journal anyway. But when you're dealing with life, journaling is one of those strategies, just like fasting, just like grounding, just like meditation, all the things, breath work. Journaling is one of those, tools in the toolbox. In the bag of tricks, which is what I call them. And I remember, I will never forget, I was in a bed journaling, and I say God spoke to me and was like, I was literally pen to the paper. And every time before I journaled, I used to always pray, please provide me with the words to use in order to construct the thoughts that I need to construct to be on this paper. And in that moment, immediate, it was shift over from first to third. And I knew what that meant. So I was like, okay, let's try this out. So I titled it. And then I just started to write. So instead of writing, I am so sad today, the reason why I'm sad is because I felt like I've been alone. It transformed into, from that day moving forward, sometimes in life you're going to deal with moments of isolation. And within those moments of isolation, you will feel emotions of sadness. Within those emotions of sadness, although they have to be experienced, there are ways in which you can navigate through. So that turned into that for 2 years, just for healing. And then I met my editor, Dale. And Dale's like, well, what do you have? I was like, I want to publish a kid's book. And he was like, well, what have you written? And I was like, well, not a kid's book. I've had this journal. I sent it to him and he said, this is your book. And that's how Spiraling in Control birthed. To answer your question, now when I show up in spaces similar to this one, remember my baby book is only a month old. So she's in her infancy stage. But I'm now showing up in spaces like this where I can confidently say, because I know that it works, that, hey, here are some techniques and strategies that I used, and maybe they may work for you. And then, I'm praying for you if not.
If not, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was thinking, we call, when we looked at and read your book, a memoir to movement, we call it. Because you can kind of see the journey, but then it's turned into a movement, right? Because I follow you now watching like certain things you do, like, you go to the beach and people are engaging with you at the beach. I don't remember you at Venice Beach. Yeah.
Let's go LA.
Yeah. Giving out books in the journal and all that stuff. And you're like, wow, you have like a whole set of stuff around it. So your journey has turned, this journey of healing and going through this process turned into so much more of this movement.
Yeah.
And I know that sometimes like we're in a society where because things are always so polarized, or it's either this or that, or people are going through so much things, they are looking for something that can help ground them to feel like they're able to engage in a positive way around things. And so help us understand a little bit, like, how did you get into this whole movement thing, right? Because like I tell folks, like, how you gonna write a book and then you gonna make a movement? Like, can I write a book and get a movement? I don't know what that would look like.
But I mean, that's one part. And I think also like, what kind of like, what do you hope to inspire? Like what transformations do you hope to see from this movement?
You know, I'm so in it.
Like on a broader scale.
Right.
I guess, yeah.
I'm so in it. Like I'm in it, that the movement is literally, transpiring in front of my eyes. Originally with me going to Venice Beach, it was because I have this book published, and it was actually, this is a few weeks ago. I was like, okay, I need to get the word out that I have this book. How can I do that? Boots on the ground. People don't talk about that when it comes to marketing. Boots on the ground marketing, that door-to-door mentality of pushing a product, it is the bread and butter of success when it comes to product pushing.
Yeah.
As much as you want to, hype up social media, when you don't have a true social media following, in order to gain success with the product, you have to be boots on the ground.
Yeah.
So because this is my baby from like an entrepreneurial perspective, I'm doing everything. So my boots on the ground method was, okay, I want to set up a vendor table. I had already had merch lined up with materials that I wanted to associate with my book. Lavender for the shower, lavender rollers, eucalyptus rollers. And by rollers, I mean, extra virgin olive oil and literally eucalyptus oil. A journal to accompany the book. I've started now taking the I'm going to have to go back and say this. My book has 33 chapters. And the reason why it's 33 is because I was 33 when I published it, which was a few months ago. The number 33 is the year of completion. So, and a lot happened within that journey of me being 33. I finished my PhD, et cetera. So 33 is intentional. And each of the 33 chapters talks about 33 different reflective ways in which you could go through and apply different measures to heal. Now what I've done is I've taken those 33 chapters and I've developed 33 different children's books / curriculum for grades K through 5.
Wow.
So my big picture, remember, I'm an educator by heart, elementary ed in particular.
Gosh, I love you so much.
Yeah, I am too. That's how I know your sister.
9 years in.
Yeah, I am. I started off with, I've taught K, first, fifth.
I taught 3 through 5.
Goodness, yeah, the babies. It's the babies.
It's the babies for me, y'all. The big kids.
I was a high school dude. So you'd be shocked by that.
I'm like,
I am not surprised by that, but no, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm like, if I can influence you and look at you and say you're making me sad, please stop.
That works.
Then I want you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I want to be able to show you from an empathetic perspective. This is hurting my feelings. Please stop.
You have to have different strategies for high school folks.
Or I can't.
100%.
I don't want to. I'm going to have a high schooler one day, and I'm like, please be kind to me. So that's the big picture, right? I'm me being on Venice Beach currently is me not only promoting the product, and the product is not the book. The product is programs. The product is the movement. The product is hey, let me tell you about what spiraling in control really means. And let me talk to your organization about it. In addition to that, let us come in and teach these babies about ways in which they could apply these strategies before they get to our big age and are now having to not
necessarily have the tools to be able to. I think, and that just warms my heart so much, especially as we look at the attack on social emotional education and education, indoctrinating children and all those things, which we won't go into too deeply, but we do need to equip our kids with tools at a much earlier age to cope with big emotions. Like they have big emotions, adults have big emotions. Like they're not any different.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. That is so exciting. That is so exciting. So
well,
good.
listen, we could talk to you all day about this stuff. I'm going to say just a couple things before we end that really took us a lot. You don't only speak your stuff, write about your stuff. You're unapologetic, I notice, about your journey, which makes your authenticity so really good and a great example for women out there and men who are trying to figure out what to do. But you also give back in the community and do stuff, right? We did our little homework on you, right? We do homework on everybody that come in here.
I'm so happy y'all did.
Yeah. So, but
I do want to talk about that.
But I know, we were watching it. You go to Skid Row.
I do. Yeah.
And we got to tell people who've never been to LA, we could probably tell them a little bit about what Skid Row is like, where a lot of poor people are and stuff like that. I'll let you explain a little bit. But you go out there and you do some stuff with them, with different community partners and doing things. I mean, you stay in the community, right? When, quite frankly, what you watch with a lot of folks is as their journey gets differently, they don't go back to the community, right? But you have stayed connected, which I really commend you for. Because I always tell folks, I don't think enough of us go back to our communities.
Yeah.
Some folks, they get out and they never go back, right? But you have stayed there, supported, did things. And to me, I think that's why you get all the blessings that come with it, right?
Absolutely.
And so,
Amen.
Tell us a little bit about that work you do there.
Wow. Yeah. Skid Row for me. So Skid Row is one of the largest places, I'm going to just say in the world, but definitely in the United States it's a place that has the largest homeless population. And homelessness for me, it will always weigh true to my heart because my sister is dealing with homelessness. And also what I've noticed over time with volunteering is that it is a lot of drug addicts on Skid Row. And drug addiction is such a humongous epidemic here in the United States. And, sometimes what we don't talk about is that, the addiction of drugs can also be pharmaceutical as well.
Absolutely. So
my connection to that is so deep. And, the reason in which I have been intentional about going to Skid Row is because I have a sister who deals with homelessness and also drug addiction as well. So, my way of being able to still touch her without really being able to touch her, and that's something that I can't control, has been volunteering on Skid Row. And it has been such a blessing to be a part of because it keeps me grounded in a state of empathy. When it comes to dealing with people, it keeps me focused on the big picture goal. It allows me to go home and understand truly how blessed I am. I live downtown. People talk about downtown LA. I live a very good, soft life downtown. And I'm so blessed to be where I am within that city of LA, but 2 streets over, it looks different. Or
it was just there. It depends on what street you turn on. It looks very different. Yeah.
So, I've been able to just be in the financial district and have the ability to be in the very nice part. So being so close to it, it was no option. It was no choice. So luckily now I have the ability to have a really good connection with, and I do a lot of great work with the organization Soul Saving Production.
Okay.
And we go out and once a week we do this thing called Healthy Mondays through our partnership with Trader Joe's. And we go out and we give fresh fruits and vegetables out to the individuals who are living on Skid Row.
Okay.
So that's a way we give back. Every second Sunday we give out food, clothes. That's our big give back. And haircuts. So sometimes I'm out, with my clippers and I'm cutting hair.
What?
Yeah. What's interesting? I'm in my dating season and the guys I date, and they're like, guys I date is crazy. But when I do date, they're like, sorry, don't judge me. Oops. But they're like, oh, you can cut hair, cut me up. I'm like, this. You sure?
Are you sure about this?
I'm gonna give you a 1. That's all I got. I don't got no lineup. I don't got no taper.
They're thinking about fades.
Yeah, no. Not at all. Yeah, I'm a blade. I'm a blade across. That's it. So I call it the Skid Row special. So I can give you a nice Skid Row special. A quick 1 or a 0, which is a reality. But so needed, right? When we talk about haircuts.
Just think about how that makes someone feel.
Yeah, that's right. Self-confidence.
Self-confidence. It's cleanliness. It's survival.
Yeah, that's right.
It is. That's right. It is when we're cutting hair because people have, what's the bug that sucks the blood?
Like ticks?
Ticks. Because people are living with ticks on their, in their scalps, you know.
And that can also lead to Lyme disease,
etc. So, you know, and we're dealing with people who are also not only homeless, who may be dealing with drug addiction, but most times also have a mental disorder. You know,
we don't talk enough about that how much mental disorders lead to drugs and then lead to homelessness. Like,
exactly.
You know, there's often like this, like, how did you get here? It's like, it's a lot deeper than just how did you get here? Like as if they made a choice to just be here.
Be here, right.
Yeah.
So, you know, so often is the homeless community overlooked.
Yeah.
And it saddens me. It really does. So my give back is every time I'm home, which is all the time with the exception of 3 weeks out of a quarter, which is when I have to travel for my site visits with the school. I'm always, always, always tapping in with the organizations in which I volunteer with. So, you know, and I have a deep connection because of my sister who's going through her own struggles with her babies. So, yeah.
Well,
I have like, since we're on that, just before we wrap up, because I know we are almost done here and I'm sad about that, but talk about if people want to connect with you as they're going through their own healing journey, if organizations may want to partner with you, like how do they get connected with you to be able to do those things?
Yeah. So I have spiralingincontrol.org. Since it is a movement, it's now an organization.
Look at you.
a movement, folks.
Go ahead. Hold it up.
We got receipts, as they would say. Receipts.
Hold it up.
So I'm really solid on the business end of making sure all of my I's are dotted and my T's are crossed.
Awesome.
So you can definitely find me on spiralingincontrol.org. I have my social media platforms as well that I'm pretty active on. I've been intentional about going through the journey of becoming an entrepreneur or being an entrepreneur within this self-publishing space, growing an organization. So I've been intentional about posting the vulnerable side of it all while also working a full-time job as an operator of 2 locations of 2 schools, you know, private schools. Yeah. So, you know, and also navigating the world of being an amazing mommy to my baby.
A mama.
That's right. And a successful one too.
Thank you.
So one more question for you. Is your social media your personal social media, or do you also have one for the organization?
So Dr. Courtney Wright is also Spiraling in Control because it's all in one.
Okay.
And then I have Spiraling in Control on TikTok, and then I have my Facebook.
I just want the people to connect with you because they need to.
Right. Yeah. We're going to put all her Dr. Wright's links in the bio, all her handlers, all that stuff.
Thank you.
The team will have all that in there. And also we're going to give the opportunity for the audience to have any comments or anything like that to let her engage. Every time we have our guests that come on, we always love our audience to engage with comments. We make sure we get it to the guests and then they go back and forth. And
thank you.
Because it's, you know, these things are not a one-time thing. I mean, when we went down this road talking about Unlearned Unlimited, we not only wanted to talk about things that you learned that didn't always help you in life, but also to show like, hey, there's an unlimited possibility, not by chance, but it's a reality. People like you are realities in the world, right?
Amen.
And with all of the navigations and all the struggles, all the stuff people tell you that you can't achieve and everything, all of life's lifing, you know, you've done well, right? And I think it is great that you celebrate. I tell folks, like, I'm unapologetic about celebrating. Don't get mad at me. You work hard. You play hard, you do your stuff, you know, you try to make sure you enjoy life. We have the right to enjoy life, give back to our community, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And do stuff. I mean, like, you know, I always find it funny, Echevarria, right? Everybody's, oh, she's a mogul, she did all this stuff. Well, she didn't have all that stuff together either, right? I mean, over time, she became who she became. Dr. Courtney Wright, you're going to be in the same space. You're in the same city as her, right? I mean, so...
And I go to Hilltop, so shout out to Echevarria. Let's collab.
Right, so, I mean, but people see these things and then they you know, they don't make these connections, right? Shout out to HBCUs. We've had folks from Howard, Edward Waters University, Morehouse, Spelman, like all these Lincoln University. You guys, these universities are producing people that come from communities that most of the time, folks is like, yo, they don't got a shot, right?
Absolutely.
And then they become great things. And because they don't repeat it a lot, right? Even like Oprah, Tennessee State University.
Right.
Like, I mean, like, and then, you know, I just think like it's so funny the disconnects that happen, right? You choose where you want to choose to go to school, but the one thing that's beautiful is the building of communities, the connection, the giving back, making sure you bring other people up to be where you are. Like these are realities of where we live in. And I think that to me is like the unlimited part, right? And I think I love the book, right? I think you did a outstanding job, especially talking about your journey and particularly around healing and doing those things. I think it's more like a self-help, right? But you, I think, you know, your where you go from here is just, you know,
boundless.
That's correct. I mean, I'm clear about that, and we just appreciate you taking the time to fly down live to come in and talk to us like that. Sure. That's really
we don't get to do live people all the time, and that's always fun.
But I think like, you know, your work speaks for itself, how you function speaks for yourself, and your give back speaks for itself. And I think that makes it an honor for us to have you on the show. So,
amen.
Any last thing you want to say before we wrap up?
Man,
what are some parting words for the people?
You know, I would say that true success is daily bite-sized chunks. Consistency. That's true success. It's consistency when it doesn't feel like it's going to work.
That's right.
So if I had to give any piece of advice to myself included, because I also I had a full-blown karaoke moment with singing, you know, a gospel song, and then followed up with a song by a Young Jeezy and Lil Boosie, and then followed up with
kind of party,
Courtney, get it together, you know, get it together, Courtney. So it was a lot going on in that car. Shout out to Enterprise and the rentals. See, I'm trying to get all these sponsorships. Everybody who I sponsor out is strategic.
Right.
I travel a lot. Marriott, I'm coming for you too. So. But yeah, success is small, bite-sized, consistent chunks in just doing the do. And if you can remember that and remember that you can too succeed, then it will happen. It's a non-negotiable. That's the difference between success and non-success. So I say that to say I am only in this space because I visualized myself being in this space. And I'm thankful. Amen. It was on my vision board that I was going to be on somebody's podcast. And I'm thankful that it's you all. So thank you.
Listen, you already know.
Love having you.
We're glad you're here. Well, that's a wrap for us today. Make sure you share, like, subscribe to our show. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, you name it. We'll put Dr. Courtney Wright's all of her information in the bio below. Make sure you go out and pick up her book, which is The Bomb, Spiraling in Control, which we call it a memoir to a movement, the journey. I'm super excited about it. And if you have any comments or anything, make sure you put some comments down. We try to make sure our guests always gets that, always get those things. Shout out to, all the HBCUs, the schools, the people, all the folks that are out there, like as we always say, we're super excited when we can show that even though you got to unlearn that everything is unlimited. All right, that's our show. Let's go.
Thank you.